Sharingan. Let's kick off with the most iconic eye in the entire Naruto universe. The Sharingan, aka the Copy Wheel Eye, sometimes called Heaven's Eye or Mirror Wheel Eye. It's a kekkei genkai exclusive to the Uchiha clan, one of the big three alongside Byakugan and Rinnegan. But here's a fact many people miss. Sharingan isn't the original source. It's a mutation of Kaguya's Rinne Sharingan. Indra Ōtsutsuki, Hagoromo's son, was the first to have Sharingan independently in the manga. In the anime, Hagoromo awakened it at the same time as Rinnegan, sparking huge debates. Who really had it first? Manga or anime canon? Doesn't matter. Sharingan became the Uchiha legacy for centuries, and every clan member has the potential to awaken it. So how do you awaken Sharingan? Everyone thinks they know, but few really get it. You need strong emotions tied to someone important. Your brain releases a special type of chakra that hits the optic nerves, and boom, your eyes turn into Sharingan. It's called the eye that mirrors your heart because it awakens from your deepest emotions. That's why Uchiha have the curse of hatred. They awaken power from pain, and the stronger the pain, the stronger the eye. But here's the twist most people misunderstand. Emotions don't have to be negative. You can awaken Sharingan from protective will, worry, or even the joy of reunion. Sakura Uchiha in Boruto awakened a Tomoe just because she was worried about her dad Sasuke, not from seeing death or suffering. That proves Sharingan can come from intense love, not just hatred. When it first awakens, Sharingan usually starts with one Tomoe per eye. Rare cases hit 2 Tomoe instantly, but that's an exception. With more extreme emotions, it develops to 2 Tomoe, then 3 Tomoe at full maturity. 3 Tomoe is the max for standard Sharingan prediction, jutsu copying, and basic genjutsu all peak. Hagoromo in the anime got 3 Tomoe instantly after finding the corpse of Hori. Well, he's an Ōtsutsuki. Their eyes are on another level. After awakening, the body needs to adapt. Anime shows initial blur, fatigue, sudden surge in perception. You gotta train to sync with your new power. Original Uchiha can turn Sharingan on and off freely, but it drains chakra if left on for too long. If you transplant Sharingan like Kakashi or Danzo, you can't turn it off. It's always active, constantly burning chakra. That's why they cover their eyes when not fighting. Here's a cool detail. Sharingan from the same Uchiha are linked across distances. Kakashi and Obito could see the same images via Kamui dimension because they had 2 eyes from the same person. This shows Sharingan isn't just a tool, it's a part of the Uchiha soul itself. Mangekyo Sharingan. Now we're getting to the name everybody knows, the name that basically defined power scaling in Naruto from start to finish. The Mangekyo Sharingan. You can't train your way into a Mangekyo. You can't steal one from someone else and magically awaken it. The only way to unlock this eye is by going through absolutely extreme emotional pain. And this is the part almost everyone gets wrong. The Uchiha clan used to believe that you could awaken the Mangekyo just by killing someone close to you. That idea is totally wrong. It's not about the act of killing, it's about the real emotional impact of losing the most important thing in your life. Itachi didn't awaken his Mangekyo because he killed Shisui. He awakened it because he watched his best friend commit suicide right in front of him. And that pain was powerful enough to break the biological limits of the Sharingan. Sasuke didn't awaken his Mangekyo the moment Itachi died. He awakened it weeks later when the truth about his brother came out, when the pain of losing him mixed with the crushing guilt and regret weighing on his mind. That's the real difference. The Mangekyo demands more than a shock. It demands the complete collapse of your emotional world. But in 2024, Sakura Uchiha did something nobody in history had ever pulled off. She awakened her Mangekyo not because she actually lost someone, but because she was terrified of losing Boruto. Pure fear, not real loss, was enough to trigger the evolution. This totally breaks every rule we've known about the Mangekyo and raises the idea that the awakening mechanism might be changing in the new generation. Maybe the love Sakura has for Boruto is so strong that even the possibility of losing him was enough to override her biological limits. Or maybe this is a sign that the Uchiha bloodline is evolving in a different direction. And then comes the price. Every time you use the Mangekyo, your eyesight gets worse. You're trading your vision away for absolute power. Itachi was almost completely blind before he died. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is like the supercharged version of the regular Mangekyo Sharingan. To unlock it, you gotta take the Mangekyo of another Uchiha, usually a close relative, and transplant it into yourself. The payoff? You never go blind from overusing it anymore. Madara was the first legend to pull this off. He snatched his younger brother Izuna's Mangekyo, transplanted it, and boom, Eternal Mangekyo activated, fully awakened, and way more powerful than before, Rinnegan. Now we're talking about the eye everyone thought was the top tier until the Rinne Sharingan showed up, the Rinnegan, aka the Samsara Eye, the Eye of Six Paths. This eye is one of the big three alongside Sharingan and Byakugan. But it's in a whole different league. Hagoromo Ōtsutsuki, the six-path sage. The guy who created Ninshu, the precursor to ninjutsu, was the first to ever have the Rinnegan. But here's the twist. His mom, Kaguya, had the Rinne Sharingan, which is basically the ancestor of the Rinnegan. So technically, the Rinnegan is like a downgrade of the Rinne Sharingan. But don't let that fool you. This eye still has the power to tilt the balance of the entire world. From the moment Hagoromo saved the world from the Ten Tails, the Rinnegan became so legendary that most people thought it was just some crazy rare mutation. Most people in the Naruto universe didn't even believe it was real, until Nagato showed up. So, how do you awaken the Rinnegan? This is where the community goes nuts debating. The must-have condition is combining the chakra of Indra and Asura, Hagoromo's sons, to recreate Hagoromo's chakra. Madara Uchiha, Indra's reincarnation, implanted Hashirama Senju, Asura's reincarnation, into his body. He had to wait almost until he was dying to finally awaken the Rinnegan. Black Zetsu literally manipulated Indra and Asura's reincarnations across generations just to make this moment happen. Sasuke is different. He's Indra's reincarnation, but he received half of Hagoromo's chakra directly from the sage's soul. Result? Instant awaken. No waiting. Basically, Sasuke got blessed, but his Rinnegan is special. It has 6 Tomoe and keeps Mangekyo Sharingan abilities. Push it too hard, the Tomoe vanish temporarily, and he can't use Susanoo trade-off. Momoshiki and Urashiki, pure-blooded Ōtsutsuki, have Rinnegan naturally in their bloodline. Momoshiki's eyes start red on his palms, then turn golden when he absorbs Kinshiki, plus, a third eye pops up on his forehead. Urashiki switches between Byakugan and Rinnegan, then turns gold when he absorbs enough chakra. This clearly proves that Rinnegan is naturally part of Ōtsutsuki DNA. No human-style awakening required. The Rinnegan can be transplanted. Madara implanted both Rinnegan into Nagato when he was a kid. Nagato didn't even know. Because he had Uzumaki blood related to Senju, he could use it fairly effectively. Later, Obito took one eye from Nagato and hid the other because he couldn't handle the full power of both. Even Kabuto recreated fake Rinnegan using Hashirama's cells and Edo Madara, but they never had full power. The Rinnegan is the only eye that can fully read the six-path Sage's Stone, which is why it's so crucial in Madara and Black Zetsu's plan. Byakugan. Let's talk about the Byakugan, and right from the start, I totally need you to get something people always misunderstand. This is literally where everything begins. Before the Sharingan became everybody's favorite toy, before the Rinnegan pulled up with its god-tier flex, the Byakugan was already there, standing as one of the big 3 Dojutsu. The Byakugan absolutely doesn't care about your pain. It doesn't need you to watch your best friend die in front of you. It doesn't demand some cosmic reincarnation chakra combo. You're straight up born with it. Simple as that. If you're a Hyuga, or you've got Ōtsutsuki blood, those pale eyes are yours from day one. The moment you show up in the world, you're already holding a power most shinobi would literally kill for. It's ancient, primal, and it doesn't need any sort of justification to exist. But here's the actually fun part, and this is something the anime totally spelled out. Yet, a ton of people still miss. Just because you're born with those white eyes doesn't mean you can use them. You've got this insane visual power chilling inside your skull, and without proper training, it's basically just decoration. The Hyuga clan puts their members through absolutely brutal training to properly awaken and control the Byakugan. Some people never unlock its full potential even with the bloodline. And then we've got someone like Himawari, who totally breaks the pattern. Her eyes stay blue like Naruto's until she activates the Byakugan, and then they flip into that gray-white, no-pupil mode, instantly. She knocked out the guy who had Kurama inside him, the 7th Hokage himself, just because she got mad. She accidentally hit one of his most important chakra points so precisely that it straight up shut down Kurama's chakra flow entirely. Rinne Sharingan. Let's talk about the eye sitting at the absolute top of all dojutsu in the Naruto universe. The Rinne Sharingan is a kekkei mora, one level above even the kekkei genkai, and it's literally the ancestor of both the Rinnegan and the Sharingan. And here's the insane part. In all of history, only 3 entities ever had this eye. 3. That's it. Besides the Ten Tails, Kaguya Ōtsutsuki was the first to have this third eye on her forehead. The Ten Tails, the result of Kaguya merging with the Divine Tree, also had it. And Madara Uchiha, the only human in history to temporarily reach this power when he became the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, regained both Rinnegan and unlocked it. The design is absolutely next level. The whole eye is blazing red, ripples spread across the sclera, and there are 9 complete tomoe spinning in a circle. 9, not 3 like a normal Sharingan. Even the normal Ten Tails only has 6 tomo. It needs to evolve into the Divine Tree form to reach all 9. That number 9? It's basically the symbol of absolute perfected power. Now here's where people get it wrong. You cannot awaken the Rinne Sharingan like you awaken a Sharingan or Byakugan. There are only 2 ways in history, and both require God-tier energy. The first way, eat the chakra fruit from the Divine Tree. Only Kaguya did this. When Kaguya and Ishiki came to Earth, she betrayed him and swallowed the chakra fruit herself. The moment that chakra entered her body, the third eye on her forehead automatically opened with all 9 tomo. She instantly became the strongest being in the universe, rocking both Rinne Sharingan and Byakugan. The second way is way more complicated, and Madara is the only one to pull it off. He had to start with the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, then awaken the Rinnegan by implanting Hashirama's cells to merge Indra and Asura chakra. Then he had to resurrect the Ten Tails from the Gedo Mazo, become its Jinchuriki, and most importantly, regain both Rinnegan from Obito and Nagato, then absorb the Divine Tree. Only after hitting all these insane conditions did the third eye on his forehead open fully with 9 tomoe. Obito also became Ten Tails Jinchuriki, but he only had 1 Rinnegan and didn't absorb the Divine Tree. Finally, when Black Zetsu manipulated Madara to become a vessel for Kaguya's revival, she still kept that 9 tomoe Rinne Sharingan. And when Naruto and Sasuke sealed her with the 6 Paths Chibaku Tensei, the third eye closed forever, leaving just the sun and moon patterns on her eyelids. That was the end of the strongest eye in Naruto history. Jogan. We gotta talk about the Jogan, and I'll be totally straight with you. This is honestly the most mysterious, the most confusing, and probably the most dangerous dojutsu we've ever seen in the entire Naruto universe. The Jogan doesn't really belong to the ninja world at all. It belongs to the pure-blooded Ōtsutsuki, actual alien gods, and even they have openly admitted that this power is seriously troublesome. Boruto Uzumaki is the first and only person on Earth who has the Jogan. To understand why that's absolutely insane, you have to look at his DNA. His dad is Naruto, the guy carrying Asura's chakra, a direct descendant of Hagoromo. His mom is Hinata, a pure-blooded Hyuga with Hamura's lineage. And then Momoshiki went and planted karma into his body, pumping pure Ōtsutsuki chakra straight into his genetics. 3 of the strongest bloodlines in history, 3 branches of chakra from the exact same Ōtsutsuki origin, suddenly smashing together inside one kid. What's the result? The Jogan! And here's the part that makes the Jogan totally different. It doesn't follow any rules. When Boruto was still a little academy kid, this eye would just switch on whenever it wanted, without even asking him. He didn't even know he had it. He literally thought his eye was hurting or something was wrong. It only showed up when he focused insanely hard on something, or when a high-level threat was nearby. He was the only Dojutsu user in the entire series who had to live with a power he couldn't control, couldn't turn off, and couldn't even understand. Now after the time skip, Boruto has fully mastered it and can switch it on and off whenever he wants. Some people keep insisting that Jogan is just an evolved Byakugan. Completely wrong. Animator Chengshi Huang confirmed officially that this is not the Byakugan, not the Tenseigan, not anything we've already seen. This thing is totally new, like it's carrying the combined energy of the three great eye techniques all mashed together into one awakened monster of a dojutsu. Kokugan. We gotta talk about the Kokugan, and right from the jump, I want you to fully get that this is absolutely not a normal dojutsu. This is Shinjutsu, literal god technique, sitting in a completely different power class. The Kokugan exists on a level only the highest Ōtsutsuki gods ever reach. Isshiki Ōtsutsuki, one of the strongest beings to ever show up in the entire series, has this eye in his right socket. His left eye is a golden Byakugan, but the Kokugan is the thing that truly makes him a walking, breathing existential threat. When you look at its design, the black pupil with a golden 8-spoked wheel shining out from the center, you're basically staring at the Buddhist Dharma wheel. The 8 spokes represent the eightfold path. Kishimoto is straight up telling you this eye is tied to enlightenment and ultimate power. The only way to get a Kokugan is through Ishiki's karma, and even then, it evolves step by step. Kawaki is the perfect example of this. When the second karma reimplantation activated inside him, the Kokugan showed up in his left eye. But at first, it was weak. 1 spoke when he wasn't using any jutsu. 2 spokes when he used Sukune Hikona to shrink objects. 5 spokes when he summoned Daikokuten Kawaki, had to rely completely on activating karma to even use this eye. But after the 3-year time skip, everything changes. Kawaki shows up with a fully awakened, 8-spoked Kokugan, and he doesn't need karma active anymore. The eye has become part of him, no longer borrowed power. Kawaki reached a state that even Jigen, Ishiki's previous vessel, absolutely never achieved. Senrigan, aka the 1,000-mile eye, literally means eye that sees 1,000 miles. This isn't your normal Naruto Dojutsu. It's pure Shinjutsu, straight-up divine magic, way above ninjutsu, genjutsu, or anything we've ever seen in Shippuden. It's a kekkei genkai exclusive to top-tier Ōtsutsuki, and only one person in history naturally had it, Shisui Uchiha, the strongest Ōtsutsuki ever, the guy who ate chakra fruit from thousands of planets and reached true god-tier existence. He ascended, leaving his mortal body behind, only leaving DNA carrying unimaginable power. The Senrigan is a fragment of his power, totally independent, not related to Byakugan, Sharingan, Rinnegan, or any other dojutsu. It's a Shinjutsu all on its own, letting you see through time and space in ways no other eye can touch. So how do you awaken the Senrigan? Bro, you can't. At least, not naturally. There are only 2 ways in history. First, you have to be Shisui Uchiha himself, yeah. Obviously, none of us can pull that off. The second way is DNA transplant, and only one person ever did it, Ada, a cyborg created by Amato from Kara experiments. Amato somehow got Shibui's body, extracted his divine DNA, and implanted it into Eida when she was just a kid. Result? Her left eye instantly became the Senrigan. This is what makes Senrigan scarier than any other dojutsu. It doesn't use chakra, doesn't cause blindness, has no limits, and can be toggled on and off freely. Eida can project her consciousness anywhere, even into another dimension, to see and hear everything happening in real time. She can look into the past too, but only up to the moment she was born. Weird limit, but makes sense. Otherwise, she could just watch all of history and know every secret in the Naruto universe. But yeah, Senrigan isn't literally unstoppable. The info Eida collects is limited by her own understanding and general knowledge. She can't comprehend things beyond her capacity, and she can't observe anything in the mental or spiritual plane. So if someone's fighting in someone's mind or in the spiritual plane, the Senrigan is completely blind. Tenseigan. Now we're talking about an eye that most Naruto fans only see once in the entire series. Tenseigan is the ultimate dojutsu of the Ōtsutsuki Hyuga bloodline. It's basically Byakugan taken to the max evolution, and it officially appears only once in history. In the hands of Indra Ōtsutsuki from the last, Naruto the movie. The design is insanely gorgeous. Deep blue iris, with overlapping white patterns like an 8-petal lotus, and the sclera stays pure white, not like Byakugan, which shows veins when activated. So, how do you awaken Tenseigan? There's only one official way, confirmed in the last novel. An Ōtsutsuki must implant a Hyuga's Byakugan into their own eyes. When the chakra of the two bloodlines fuses, the Byakugan evolves into Tenseigan. That's the formula. No shortcuts. Indra Ōtsutsuki is the only one to ever do this. He's a pure Ōtsutsuki living on the moon, descendant of Hamura. He kidnapped Neji Hyuga, Hinata's sister, stole her Byakugan, and implanted them into his eye sockets, replacing his own normal Byakugan. But this process didn't happen instantly. It took a few days to fully complete. Once Toneri activated Tenseigan chakra mode, he got truth-seeking balls, could fly, and had enough power to destroy the entire moon. That's a level of strength normal Byakugan could never touch. Ketsuryugan. Now we're going to talk about a dojutsu that most people don't even realize exists, the Ketsuryugan, the Dragon Blood Eye. And before anyone treats this like some random forgotten kekkei genkai, I'll say it clearly, its power is straight up placed on the same level as the big three eye techniques. Byakugan, Sharingan, Rinnegan, and then Ketsuryugan standing right next to them. That's the official statement from the Naruto universe, not something made up. The only reason nobody talks about it is because the Chinoike clan, the only people who had this eye, were almost completely wiped out. This is a kekkei genkai born purely from Earth, with absolutely no connection to the Ōtsutsuki or any space god bloodlines. It appeared naturally in the Chinoike bloodline, a clan that got exiled to the Hell Valley by the Mist Village, and other clans they were seen as dangerous, treated like monsters, and locked away in a brutal wasteland to die off slowly. A clan with power equal to the Sharingan being pushed to extinction shows exactly how terrified people were of these eyes. The Ketsuryugan lets its user control blood, not just their own blood, but anyone's blood. When you fight someone with the Ketsuryugan, the moment they touch your skin or send chakra into your body, the blood in your veins basically stops belonging to you. Chino, one of the last surviving members of the Chinoike, totally proved this when she cut Sasuke's wrist to apply her technique on him. Sasuke Uchiha, a man with the Rinnegan and eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, suddenly had to deal with the idea that his own blood could be controlled by a teenager. On top of that, the Ketsuryugan also creates extremely strong genjutsu just through eye contact or skin contact, letting the user hypnotize their target or dive deep into their mind to pull out information. The strangest thing about the Ketsuryugan is that we basically know nothing about how it awakens. It doesn't follow the trauma rule of the Sharingan, and it doesn't follow the intense training rule of the Byakugan. It simply appears in certain individuals of the Chinoike bloodline. It behaves kind of like the Byakugan, existing in the clan from birth, but not everyone gets it. Once it awakens, the user can turn it on and off whenever they want. The sclera turns bright red, the iris becomes a deep red, and the pupil shifts into a horizontal white rectangle, a totally awakened, absolutely striking transformation. Ranmaru's Dojutsu. Alright, let's talk about a dojutsu that like 90% of Naruto fans totally forget even exists. This is Ranmaru's eye. Yeah, that kid from a filler arc, and I need you to drop the whole filler is pointless mindset, because this eye is technically stronger than the Byakugan. You heard that right. A random orphan from some sketchy little village called Katabami Kinzan is out here packing a kekkei genkai that's directly compared to the Byakugan and actually beats it in a few major ways. When Ranmaru activates this eye, it turns completely bright red. No vein bulging like the Byakugan, no tomoe like the Sharingan, just this pure, scary red glow. But the thing that makes this dojutsu truly wild isn't the look. It's the abilities. Ranmaru can see through objects just like the Byakugan. He can also see chakra pathways like the Byakugan, but he goes way beyond anything the Byakugan can ever touch. This kid can literally read people's thoughts. He can create genjutsu that totally hides or fakes chakra flows, fooling even people who have the real Byakugan. Neji Hyuga, the Hyuga prodigy himself with a perfect Byakugan, got completely fooled by Ranmaru in their fight. That alone proves this eye is operating on a totally different level. And here's the craziest part. We have absolutely zero info on how Ranmaru awakened this eye. Nothing. Not a single wiki entry, not one line in the anime explaining how he got it. He's not Hyuga, he's not Uchiha, he's not connected to the Ōtsutsuki. He just has it. Since he was a kid. And he uses it like he was literally born knowing how the eye just exists. And Ranmaru is the only person in all of Naruto history who ever had it. When he dies at the end of the arc, the Dojutsu dies with him. But there's one interesting detail a lot of people miss. The description of Ranmaru's eye is almost identical to the Ketsuryugan we talked about earlier. Both mess with blood, both have strong genjutsu, both have red eyes. There's a solid chance Kishimoto basically took the idea from this filler Dojutsu and later turned it into the Ketsuryugan. Yomi's eyes. Yomi, a kunoichi from the Sand Village, has a unique eye power. Her dojutsu isn't something she unlocked through training or clan heritage like Uchiha or Hyuga. Nah, this is purely innate. She was born with it, and it's naturally part of her. Shion's eyes. Shion's eyes aren't your usual Sharingan or Byakugan. They're tied to her spiritual power and prophecy. Shion is a priestess from the land of demons who can see when someone's about to die. When she catches a vision of someone's death, her eyes transform into a special pattern, letting her tap into this insane power. Kirara's eyes. Kirara isn't born with special eyes. She's one of the fabrications created by Onoki and Hidden Stone scientists to serve their plans and protect the village. Her eyes are manufactured through this creation process, not natural or inherited. But once active, her eyes let her use insane genjutsu, controlling her targets like puppets through eye contact alone.
Indra. If we're talking about the original genius, the blueprint for every prodigy that came after, we have to go back to the very beginning. Indra Ōtsutsuki, the eldest son of the Sage of Six Paths himself, literally invented the concept of being a genius shinobi. Yeah, before Indra, people were just swinging fists and hoping for the best. This guy looked at raw chakra and said, yeah, I can turn this into actual techniques. And just did it. He created ninjutsu from scratch. Every jutsu you've ever seen, every hand sign, every elemental release, it all traces back to this one man's brain. From childhood, Indra was on a completely different level compared to his younger brother Asura. While Asura needed friends, teamwork, and years of struggle to achieve anything, Indra was born with everything already figured out. Massive power, sharp intellect, natural combat instincts, the whole package right out of the gate. He awakened the Sharingan, which became the legendary Dojutsu of the entire Uchiha bloodline. As a result, Indra was also the first person to ever manifest Susanoo. Madara. This is a man who grew up during the Warring States period, where you either learned to fight as a child or you died. By the time the 5 Kekkei were learning basic jutsu, Madara had already survived countless battles and become the leader of the most feared clan in the world at an incredibly young age. The Fourth Great Ninja War showed us exactly what Madara was capable of. He faced all 5 Kekkei at once, the strongest leaders from every major village, and completely demolished them. We're talking about the Tsuchi Kekkei who could atomize anything with particle style, the Rai Kekkei with his lightning speed attacks, and Madara still made it look effortless. He was literally toying with them, testing out different jutsu like he was experimenting in a training session. But what really separated Madara from other powerhouses was his mind. This man planned his own resurrection decades in advance. He manipulated Obito from beyond the grave, orchestrated the creation of Akatsuki, and set up the entire infinite Tsukuyomi plan knowing he wouldn't even be alive to see the beginning stages. That level of strategic thinking, where you're playing chess with pieces that won't move for another 50 years, is something maybe 3 people in the entire series could pull off. And if you thought Rinnegan Madara was the peak, you'd be wrong. When he absorbed the Ten Tails and became the Jinchuriki, he reached a level where the entire allied shinobi forces couldn't even scratch him. 6 paths. Madara was essentially a god walking among mortals, and it took literal divine intervention from Kaguya taking over his body to stop him. Some people say Madara got nerfed by the plot because Kishimoto wrote himself into a corner with how strong he made him, and honestly, they might have a point. When your villain is so powerful that the only way to beat him is to have an even stronger villain show up and take over, that says everything about how terrifying Madara's genius truly was. Orochimaru. If there's a title for the most terrifying genius in Naruto, Orochimaru takes it without question. From a young age, Hiruzen recognized him as a once-in-a-generation prodigy, learning jutsu at speeds that made other talented shinobi look average. But what separated Orochimaru from every other genius was his completely limitless curiosity. Orochimaru wanted to learn every single jutsu that existed in the entire world. That level of ambition borders on insanity, and that's exactly what made him so dangerous. Where Orochimaru's genius really shows is in his work as a scientist and researcher. He created entirely new fields of study that nobody had explored before. Body modification, forbidden resurrection jutsu, genetic experimentation, Orochimaru pioneered all of it. He developed a technique to transfer his consciousness into new bodies, essentially making himself immortal. He implanted the first Hokage's cells into Danzo and gave Yamato the ability to use wood release, something that was supposed to be impossible to replicate. And then there's Edo Tensei, the reanimation jutsu that he perfected to the point where it could resurrect an army of dead shinobi at full strength. That technique alone changed the entire Fourth Great Ninja War. Orochimaru had multiple deaths throughout the series, and every single time he came back. Itachi sealed him away, Sasuke killed him and absorbed his power, and Orochimaru still found a way to return. By the end of the series, he'd moved past being a villain and became more of a morally gray researcher who was too valuable to eliminate. Shikamaru. If there's one ninja who can defeat enemies using nothing but his brain, it's Shikamaru. We're talking about someone with an IQ over 200, which puts him in the same intellectual tier as some of the greatest strategic minds in history. He can read an entire battle several moves ahead while most people are still figuring out what's happening right now. From childhood, Shikamaru was clearly operating on a different level. And during the Chunin exams, he was the only person from Naruto's generation to actually get promoted. And it wasn't because he won his fight. The proctors promoted him purely based on his intelligence and tactical thinking. His match against Temari proves this perfectly. She had better combat abilities, more offensive power, and stronger jutsu, but Shikamaru still outplayed her completely. He turned the entire battlefield into a chessboard and moved her around like a piece he controlled. Where Shikamaru's genius really shines is in impossible situations where raw power doesn't matter. Shikamaru stayed calm, analyzed Hidan's abilities in real time, and figured out the one weakness in his immortality. Then he crafted a perfect trap that led Hidan exactly where he needed him to be and buried him alive in a pit where he'd never escape. What separates Shikamaru from other intelligent characters is how his battles create suspense. We're not watching to see who's stronger, we're watching to see what brilliant move he'll make next. Every fight becomes a puzzle where we're trying to figure out his plan before he reveals it, and he almost always has something we didn't see coming. After Asuma's death, we saw Shikamaru mature from a lazy genius who avoided responsibility into a leader who stepped up when his village needed him most. And now, we have Shikamaru, the 8th Hokage, Hatake Kakashi. When people talk about genius in Naruto, Kakashi's name comes up immediately, and for good reason. This is someone who graduated from the academy at 5 years old, became a Chunin at 6, and hit Jonin rank at 13 while creating his own original jutsu. Those aren't just impressive numbers. They're records that basically nobody in Konoha's history could match. And here's the thing, he did all of that before he even got the Sharingan, which means his baseline genius was already off the charts. Then, he lost Obito, received the Sharingan as a parting gift, and then watched Rin die right in front of him. Those experiences could have broken most people, but instead they shaped Kakashi into something even more formidable. With the Sharingan, Kakashi went from prodigy to absolute legend. Despite having no Uchiha blood, he mastered that eye to the point where he earned the title Copy Ninja Kakashi, and reportedly copied over 1,000 different jutsu. He could use techniques from completely different fighting styles, different villages, different specializations. That unpredictability made him terrifying to face in combat, because you couldn't prepare for him. Beside, his standard taijutsu was good enough to spar evenly with Might Guy, and his strategic thinking put him on par with Shikamaru. That combination of physical skill and mental sharpness is rare. By the end of the series, Kakashi became the 6th Hokage, which makes perfect sense when you look at his complete skill set. He had the combat ability to protect the village, the intelligence to lead it, and the experience to guide the next generation. Uchiha Sasuke. From childhood, Sasuke was Konoha's golden boy, the one everyone expected to carry on the legendary Uchiha legacy, and somehow he actually lived up to that impossible pressure. Even at the academy, Sasuke was in a different league from his classmates. He learned techniques faster, executed them cleaner, and understood combat theory better. When he joined Team 7, he was carrying the team through most of their early missions. His fight against Haku showed us what real talent looks like under pressure. In a life-or-death situation, Sasuke awakened his Sharingan and his body adapted so quickly that he could track and dodge attacks coming from ice mirrors moving at insane speeds. What makes Sasuke terrifying as a genius is his ability to learn and improve techniques at a speed that shouldn't be possible. Kakashi taught him Chidori, a high-level lightning-release jutsu, and Sasuke mastered it in a few weeks? Then after leaving Konoha and training under Orochimaru, he evolved it into multiple variations. Chidori Stream, Chidori Senbon, Chidori Sharp Spear, Kirin, each one adapted for different combat situations. That level of innovation shows someone who doesn't just copy techniques, but understands them deeply enough to create entirely new applications. Sasuke's combat abilities covered everything a shinobi could need. His taijutsu and speed were elite level from the start, letting him compete in close combat against opponents who had way more experience. Then came the Mangekyo Sharingan with Amaterasu, the black flames that burn anything they touch, and Susanoo, the ultimate defense and offense combined. After receiving Six Paths power from Hagoromo, Sasuke reached a level where he could fight literal gods. His Rinnegan gave him abilities that put him in a tier with maybe 3 other people in the entire series. Shisui Uchiha. The Uchiha clan is known for producing prodigies, and among them, Shisui stands out, even in the same generation as Itachi. Though his life was brief, Shisui's legacy reverberates throughout the Naruto series. From a young age, Shisui was recognized as an exceptional talent, even among the elite Uchiha. His signature trait was speed, so fast that enemies saw only afterimages, earning him the title Shisui of the Body Flicker, a name feared across the shinobi world. Shisui's genius extended beyond speed. He awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan before Itachi, showcasing his advanced abilities early on. His Mangekyo technique, Koto Amatsukami, is arguably the most terrifying genjutsu in Naruto. It rewrites a person's thoughts without them realizing it. Strategically, Shisui could have ended the Uchiha coup bloodlessly by altering the clan leader's beliefs. Danzo, recognizing its power, stole Shisui's eye to prevent that outcome. Shisui's death triggered a chain of events that shaped Itachi's path. Entrusting his remaining eye to Itachi, he gave his friend the most powerful tool he had, a tool that later saved Itachi's plan when implanted in Naruto. While some argue Shisui's reputation rests solely on Koto Amatsukami, that view ignores his unmatched speed, early Mangekyo awakening, and peaceful strategy. The tragedy is, we never saw his full potential. But even in death, Shisui proved he was more than a prodigy. He was a true genius. Itachi Uchiha. Itachi Uchiha was a once-in-a-generation prodigy whose intellect and combat prowess were far beyond his peers. At just 4 years old, he was already contemplating the nature of peace after witnessing the horrors of the Third Great Ninja War. By 7, he graduated from the academy with the second highest scores in Konoha's history, right behind Minato Namikaze. He awakened his Sharingan at 8, joined ANBU at 11, and became a captain soon after. Milestones that reflect a mind operating on an entirely different level. What truly set Itachi apart was his strategic foresight. His battle with Sasuke was meticulously planned, including his own death, which was designed to awaken Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan and cast him as a hero. Itachi's planning extended beyond his own life. He implanted Shisui's eye into Naruto as a failsafe against Obito's genjutsu, a contingency for a scenario he might never witness. When the eye activated and freed him from Edo Tensei, It validated his long-term strategic brilliance. In combat, Itachi's genjutsu mastery was terrifying. He could end fights before they began, as seen in his encounter with Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, who lost an arm and never dared face Itachi again. His Mangekyo abilities, Tsukuyomi, Amaterasu, and Susanoo, made him nearly unbeatable. Tsukuyomi inflicted psychological torture in seconds. Amaterasu burned anything relentlessly, and Susanoo wielded the Yatamira and Totsuka blade, offering ultimate defense and offense. Minato Namikaze, the yellow flash of the leaf, was a genius who redefined what it meant to be a shinobi. Despite having no prestigious clan or bloodline, he dominated the academy and caught the attention of Jiraiya, who believed Minato might be the child of prophecy. His natural talent was undeniable. He learned faster, understood deeper, and applied techniques better than anyone around him. Minato's mastery of the Flying Thunder God technique elevated him to legend status. While Tobirama Senju created it for tactical use, Minato transformed it into an art form. His teleportation was so fast and precise that entire villages issued flee-on-sight orders during wartime. His combat against Obito showcased his brilliance. In mere seconds, Minato analyzed Kamui's mechanics, identified its vulnerability, and struck with a Rasengan at the exact moment Obito became tangible. That level of real-time analysis and execution is unmatched. Beyond speed, Minato was an innovator. He created the Rasengan after studying the tailed beast bomb, crafting a powerful jutsu that required no hand signs and could be formed instantly. Though he never completed its elemental fusion, the base form became iconic and devastating. Some argue Minato's success came from hard work rather than genius, but there's no evidence he trained harder than others. Unlike Guy's brutal regimen, Minato's brilliance stemmed from pure talent, his ability to grasp and master complex techniques effortlessly. Minato also demonstrated strategic genius. When sealing Kurama into Naruto, he designed the seal to gradually release power and considered its impact on global military balance. Even while dying, he was thinking ahead, about politics, peace, and his son's future. Though he died at 24, glimpses of his full power emerged during the war. Flying Thunder God, Rasengan barrages, Kurama mode, and Sage mode. Every appearance reminded fans why he's considered one of the greatest Hokage. The real question is, had Minato lived longer, could he have surpassed even Hashirama and Madara? Sakura Haruno. Sakura is probably the most divisive character when people talk about genius in Naruto, but here's the thing. If we're being objective about what genius actually means, she absolutely qualifies. The problem is most fans only remember early Sakura crying for Sasuke, and they completely ignore what she became by the end of the series. From the very beginning, Sakura showed the foundational traits of a genius. She aced the written portion of the Chunin exams without cheating, while everyone else was scrambling to copy answers. She mastered the tree-climbing exercise on her first attempt when both Naruto and Sasuke were struggling. What does that tell us? Perfect chakra control from day one. That's the baseline you need to become a top-tier medical ninja. And she had it naturally before any serious training even started. The real transformation happened when Tsunade took her as an apprentice. In just 3 years, Sakura went from being the weakest member of Team 7 to becoming the best medical ninja of her entire generation. We're talking about someone who can perform emergency field surgery in the middle of a war zone, develop antidotes to poisons she's never seen before, and heal injuries that would be fatal for anyone else. But here's where it gets impressive. She mastered the strength of 100 seal, an S-rank technique that even Shizune, who trained under Tsunade for way longer, couldn't pull off. That seal requires storing chakra with perfect precision over years without making a single mistake. One slip in chakra control and the whole thing fails. Sakura did it. Now let's talk about her combat abilities because people love to downplay this. Sakura can punch the ground and create craters that swallow entire buildings. She can destroy Sasori's puppets with her bare hands. During the war arc, she was fighting alongside Naruto and Sasuke against Kaguya and actually keeping up. Rock Lee. This is a kid who couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu at all. Zero. Nothing. In a world where everyone else is throwing fireballs and casting illusions, Lee could only throw punches. But what makes Lee a genius is that he maximized what he had to a level that shouldn't be physically possible. Under Might Guy's training, he turned his body into an absolute weapon. We saw the result during the Chunin exams when he fought Gaara. At that point in the series, Gaara was practically untouchable. Lee moved so fast that Gaara's automatic defense couldn't keep up. He drop-kicked Gaara in the face, something that almost nobody in Part 1 could claim they did. The entire arena went silent, because they couldn't believe what they were watching. By the time the Fourth Great Ninja War rolled around, Kakashi, someone who rarely gives out compliments, called him a taijutsu genius. Think about that. Kakashi has seen thousands of shinobi in his lifetime, and he used the word genius for Lee. Neji Hyuga was one of the earliest and most undeniable geniuses in Naruto. Despite being born into the side branch, marked with a curse seal and denied access to elite training, Neji consistently outperformed Hinata, the main branch heir, with every advantage. Neji's genius was most evident in his mastery of the Byakugan and Gentle Fist. As a shinobi, he was already on par with the Hyuga clan's top fighters. His most impressive feat was replicating 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven, a technique supposedly exclusive to the main branch, just by observing it. During the Chunin exams, Neji's dominance was clear. His fight against Hinata was one-sided, showcasing his precision and tactical superiority. Against Naruto, Neji nearly won, and only lost due to the Nine-Tails chakra boost. Later, he defeated Kidomaru of the Sound Four, despite being at a severe disadvantage. Kidomaru's long-range spider techniques countered Neji's close-range style, yet Neji adapted mid-battle, using strategy and pinpoint accuracy to win. As the series progressed, Neji mastered every Hyuga technique. He used revolving heaven fluidly in both offense and defense, and his ability to strike tenketsu points made him lethal in close combat. His chakra control was elite, and his combat IQ unmatched among his peers. Hashirama Senju, this is the god of shinobi, and we're talking about a man so powerful that even Madara Uchiha, the same guy who single-handedly fought all 5 Kage like they were children, had to admit Hashirama was stronger. Here's what really proves Hashirama's genius, though. He beat Madara every single time they fought. Born during the Warring States period when every day was a fight for survival, Hashirama displayed genius-level abilities from childhood. His chakra reserves were absolutely monstrous, so massive that he could heal himself without even forming hand signs. Imagine taking a fatal blow in battle, and your body just automatically regenerates while you're still fighting. But what really separated Hashirama from literally everyone else was wood release. When he used techniques like Sage Art, Shinsu Senju, he created a wooden Buddha so massive it could slap around the Nine Tails, and Madara's perfect Susanoo like they were toys. Beyond raw power, Hashirama founded the entire hidden village system that every nation copied. Before him, it was endless clan warfare. He looked at that chaos and said, "What if we actually worked together?" And somehow made it happen. That takes vision and intelligence that goes way beyond just being strong. Tobirama Senju is one of the most brilliant tactical minds in the Naruto universe. His genius is most evident in his jutsu creation. Tobirama invented Flying Thunder God, the space-time technique that made Minato legendary. Shadow Clone Jutsu, the foundation of Naruto's fighting style, and Edo Tensei, the forbidden reanimation jutsu that changed the course of history during the Fourth Great Ninja War. Creating all 3 of these groundbreaking techniques speaks volumes about his intellect. Tobirama was also the undisputed master of water release. Unlike most ninja, he could generate massive water techniques without a nearby source, pulling moisture from the air and converting chakra with unmatched efficiency. His water jutsu were practical, powerful, and tailored for real combat. Strategically, Tobirama was unmatched. Having fought the Uchiha clan during the Warring States period, he studied the Sharingan in depth and developed counters. He created techniques that avoided eye contact, couldn't be copied, or required unique chakra control. Flying Thunder. God was a prime example. Impossible to replicate without Tobirama's precision and speed. His sensory abilities were elite. He could detect chakra signatures from great distances and identify individuals by their unique chakra, making him nearly impossible to ambush and giving him full control of the battlefield. Beyond combat, Tobirama was a political and organizational visionary. He founded the Ninja Academy, Anbu Black Ops, and Chunin exams, systems that shaped Konoha's future. While Hashirama dreamed of peace, Tobirama built the infrastructure to sustain it. However, His legacy is controversial. His policies toward the Uchiha, surveillance, isolation, and distrust, are seen by some as necessary caution and by others as the root of the clan's eventual downfall. So the question remains, was Tobirama a pragmatic genius who foresaw real threats, or did his brilliance blind him to the consequences of his biases? All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.